Amicitia. Oh my god, this is crazy. Chapter 9. After Integritas, my days at Cultbrook settled into the same monotonous routine that I had experienced at other facilities. Wake up, put on a tie, clean the dorm, take meds, eat breakfast, go to school, eat lunch, go back to school, attend a group, have dorm time, take more meds, go to dinner, study, have more dorm time, and then finally sleep. This cycle was rarely broken except when I was in PRT. PRT is personal reflection time. It was a disciplinary action where I sat at a desk in a completely silent room from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. I wasn't allowed to turn my head or engage in anything remotely pleasurable. No reading, no talking, no distractions. The only break from the desk came when I scrubbed the kitchen equipment with steel wool or ran 5-gallon water jugs after meals. The only things that I was allowed to ask for in PRT was permission to use the bathroom, get water, and access my backpack, or an emergency health question. Out of the entire year, I spent around 4 months of it in PRT, staring blankly at a drywall until I said, that shit, and I stopped listening entirely. Then getting really good at drawing and writing rap music. Since I was a jit, bro. I was making music since I was a jit. When I wasn't confined to that dull white room, weekends offered me some downtime. Though they were still isolating, James, who I'd befriended, was also in PRT when I wasn't, and most of the other kids were too indoctrinated to interact with me. I often found myself alone, sitting around the pond or on a soccer field. One Saturday while I was on the field, I saw a young man walking across with the epitome of 2010's emo. Long floppy black hair, black jeans, and a black and red Chicago Bulls hoodie. He pulled off his hoodie, revealing an Asking Alexandria t-shirt, and something about him struck me. I felt a strange pressure in my chest, and memories of Wendell, Moody, and home flooded my mind. I curled up in a ball after school, coming off the Addies, crying my eyes out. Headphones in, sitting in a red and gold woven chair at my mom's house. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I sensed that it was important. Yeah, so that was like when I saw I was Asking Alexandria shirt, I had this memory of me just like biting my fucking hand and chewing on my nails and just crying my eyes out, withdrawing off the Adderalls, and I didn't realize what it was back then. Yo, I fuck with your shirt, I yelled across the field. What? He shouted back. R.I.P. Miles, bro. That's my dog. You'll hear more about how I had to clean his fucking brains off of the walls later. What? I fuck with your shirt, I repeated again, trying to be heard over the distance. What? He asked again, now about 10 feet away. I fuck with your shirt, I said in a normal tone as he came closer. Oh, he said with a grin. That could make anyone smile back. That's why later we called him Smiley, as you'll hear. Why didn't you just say that? I laughed. I thought I did, but I guess these cousin fucking counselors were right. I pointed to my head and spun my finger in a circle. I'm crazy. The young man stared at me for a moment, then broke into laughter. He sat down right next to me, still laughing. Bro, I can see that in my head right now, so vivid. My name's Miles. I'm Connor, what's goody? We dap up and gave each other a quick hug. Man, those cousin doggers are fucked up, Miles said. Let's go. We laughed. Carl bots are bad too. The whole system is man. Is it your first day? Yeah, bro, I've been through some shit, but this is something else, he said, glanced back at the main hall. Welcome to Cultbrook. Miles chuckled and then asked, so do you actually listen to Asking Alexandria? I was like, yeah, I dabble. He said, what else do you listen to? I like everything from Bob Marley to Gucci Mane. And yeah, I didn't write this, but yeah, and then Asking Alexandria, I Set My Friends on Fire, Bring Me the Horizon, As I Lay Dying, Deftones, like, bro, all that shit. I was banging all that shit. Sudden gay. I listened to everything from Bob Marley to Gucci Mane. What's a white jit like you know about Gucci Mane? Miles grinned, clearly testing me. Bruh, I was bumping Gucci before I started slinging dope. Afterward, it only made more sense. Miles cocked his head back. No way, you were trapping too? Yeah, what'd you run? Weed, Xanax, Spice, Coke, that kind of shit. I was literally like 13 here. Everything I just said. I had sold crack cocaine to homeless people at this point. And heroin. It's fucking nuts, dude. Fuck yeah, me too, man, he said. When I get out of here, I'm hustling until I'm a multimillionaire. Which ended up kind of happening, and then going to its demise. That boy wasn't joking. What's rule number whatever Biggie said? Don't get high in your own motherfucking supply. More about that later. I looked into his eyes, seeing the same fire and hunger for something more that burned inside me. Fuck yeah, run it up, bruh. What kind of art do you make? I play guitar. That's dope, man. I've always wanted to learn. They have some guitars around here I could teach you if you want. I glanced over the soccer field where the little purple and yellow flowers were popping up, and around the edges in that moment, I felt at home. I didn't have siblings growing up, but with Miles, I knew I had just met a brother. I love that, man. The next week, I met Miles in the music classroom where I found him sitting with a cheap Fender Squier, a piece of printer paper, and a new friend. He looked up from the paper in his lap. Oh my God. He said, "Yo, Connor, what's good, homie? This is my boy, Meyer." I love you so much, Meyer. Throughout all that we've been through, motherfucker, I love you, bruh. Dope, dude. What we playing? I asked. You ever heard of Air? Meyer said. Nah. Oh, if you fuck with Marley, you'll like it, said Miles. Let's run it up. I walked over and pulled the chair next to Miles. He lifted the guitar from his lap and plopped into mine. Here, put that on your right leg. And by the way, Meyer's really good at playing guitar. Your left hand goes on the freeboard and the right one picks the strings. I positioned it as he commanded, strummed the open strings and smiled. The feeling of the guitar vibrating in my hand felt soothing. Miles held the tab paper between the two of us so that I could see better. Alright, so you need to play this song in 4 chords. Each line on the paper represents a string, and the numbers represent the frets or the sections on the neck. I painfully contorted my fingers to hit the 3 same notes in the first chord and strummed. Sounded like shit. So how do I do this sound good? You gotta mute the other strings so that we can only hear the bottom 3 that you're supposed to play. He grabbed my hand. Wrap your thumb over the op of the neck so that the low strings can vibrate. That's what all the good guitarists do. I tried playing the chord again, and to my surprise, it sounded much better. Fuck yeah. Now I just gotta figure out how to do that whole thing out 3 or 4 more times and we'll be rich. We gotta do a bit more than that if we want to make it, Miles smiled. After 30 minutes, when I got the progression of the song down, Miles looked at me proudly and said, "Okay, are you ready to play it all the way through now? Let's fucking go, man." I moved my hand to the first chords position and started laying down the chill reggae-inspired chords that floats my boat. As the Squire squeaked out, it floats my boat. Blow my smoke in the sky, still ignoring the vice. On the roof getting high, sipping on my soak coat. Live it up till I'm dead, ignorance in my head. Fuck whoever you are, I do what floats my boat. Bro, that shit goes so hard. The lazy, beachy vibe of the music was taking me back to St. Pete. The Rastafarian on the road sign of One Customs flashed in my mind. Yo, what up, Rasta man? Gary Taylor, my dog. I love you, bruh. The joy of the One Customs flashed in my mind. I thought about painting with Rasta, overwhelmed with joy. Me and him losing track of my hands and losing track of time together. And now losing track of my hands and missing the next chord. Miles noticed that I had stopped singing and said, "You're gonna have to learn how to finish a song if we're gonna make it out the mud with music, bro." I told you already, the hillbillies are right. I'm crazy. I forgot my hands. Environment. In those early days, we cracked up enjoying one another's presence, which momentarily lifted us beyond our environment. In those early days of our friendship, it was as easy at times to forget that we were at Cultbrook, and we became inseparable. But that place had a way of sucking you into its slow-burning torture, and I had only been there a few weeks. Amicitia, the group workshop that followed Integritas, began about a month later. Named after the Latin word friend, Amicitia or something, was Amicita, I don't know, because I never really got to finish it. You'll hear why in a second, this is dope. While Cultbrook undoubtedly created many friendships, I don't think many were formed during this workshop. The real connection came from the shared experience of what we all went through. On the second day, things got a little bit messy. It was around noon and we were crammed into a portable building again. Posters with words like There are two elements in friendship. One is truth and the other is trust. We're hung on the walls. Our facilitator, the same shaggy dude from Integritas, stood at the whiteboard, arms crossed, waiting for us to settle down after the break. All right, everybody, listen up, he yelled over the 10 simultaneous conversations. The roar died down. We're going to start our next exercise. This one is called Turning Your Back. Everyone pick a partner. I looked around, met eyes with Miles. He nodded and I walked over. I thought to myself, this is bullshit, but at least I can mess around with this guy. The facilitator continued, now one of you will be partner A and the other will be partner B. I'm partner A, I said. Miles nodded, staying in his stoic emo zone. The facilitator kept, partner A, ask partner B for something you need. I leaned in with a sarcastic, nasally voice. Partner B, I need you to mellow out. You got any school butt? I leaned in with a sarcastic, nasally voice. Partner B, I need you to mellow out. You got any school buses? Which is Xanax. I don't know if they still make them, but they're like these like yellow 2 milligram alprazolam tablets that are like, look like a 4-piece thing. That was my drug of choice. Miles smirked and the facilitator barked the next command. Now, partner B, turn around. Miles turned his back and we stood back to back. Partner A, keep asking for what you need. Partner B, please, I need some Xannies. These backwoods people are stressing me out. I pleaded dramatically. Miles stays silent, playing along. Partner B, you don't understand. They eat squirrels out here. Just one brick to keep my cool, that's all I need, man. A brick is a 2.2 pound kilo of cocaine or some other drug. Miles typically ketamine, in my instance, is what I'd be familiar with discussing bricks. Miles finally cracked, yelling back in thick southern accent. I done told you I don't got none. The facilitator's head snapped in our direction like a heat-seeking missile. He marched over, eyebrows furrowed, with a cold smile curling above his chin. He stood there silently, making it clear that we were on thin ice. Not wanting to redo the workshop, Miles and I straightened up. Good work, everybody, the facilitator said, walking up to the front. He then put on Just When I Needed You Most by Randy Van Warner and began a monologue. The sad truth is, people turn their backs. Has there been a time when you needed something and someone turned their back on you? Maybe there's a parent, a teacher, a friend. If nobody had turned their back on you, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't need to be here. You'd be out there with all of the regular teenagers. I glanced at Miles, shaking my head. Well, the facilitator pressed on. I bet there was a time you turned your back on someone too. Maybe you turned your back on your parents or on a friend who needed you. That's why you're here at Cultbrook. At Cultbrook, we won't turn our back on you, and we won't let you keep turning your back on those who care about you. He paused, theoretically scanning the room, nodding. Okay, now we're going to have a smoosh pile. Everyone come here. About half the group, probably those who had been at Cultbrook longer, got up and joined the facilitator on the floor, sitting back to back, and told to feel like we want to cry. What the fuck, I muttered. Hell nah, Miles said. This is mandatory part of the workshop, guys. Those who don't join will have to retake it, the facilitator called out in the middle of the blob. Fuck, I groaned. Fuck is right, Miles echoed. Reluctantly, we shuffled over and laid down on the edges, not wanting to touch anybody. We figured it was enough to avoid getting in trouble without fully joining the weird pile. Reflecting on Cultbrook's workshops, I do see values and teachings buried in the madness. They drew from some deep thinkers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Khalil Gibran, sometimes even using their work directly, but the staff with their anger and superiority complex missed the mark. Yes, a lot of us are impulsive, reactive teens, but the staff often mirrored that behavior. They were ruled by ignorance, arrogance, anger, and greed. If Cultbrook had been run by the compassionate, awakened people, it could have genuinely helped us, but instead, it often just added to our suffering. The capacity to help others is always linked to the quality of your own being. Intention, colors, everything. What you do is important, but why you do it matters even more. And lots of people from Cultbrook did leave more traumatized and overdosed on drugs and died. Just from Cultbrook, I know at least 5 to 7 dead people. Sometime after Amicitia, I got sent to PRT for something rebellious, though I don't remember what it was. When I walked into the room, I spotted Miles sitting at a desk, silently staring at a blank wall in front of him. It had been a minute since we had hung out, so I grabbed the seat behind him, planning to surprise him. I crumpled up a piece of paper and threw it at the back of his head to surprise. To my surprise, he didn't react. Yo, Miles, I said, what's good? He stayed still. Thinking he hadn't heard me, I tried again. Yo, bro, what's up? Where you been? He straightened his slouched posture, turned around and looked at me. something was different. There was dark bags under his eyes, and he was even paler than usual. "What's up, dude?" he mumbled in a low, "Yo, I was thinking about hitting up the music room. You want to play guitar and freestyle?" He looked down, pursed his lips, took a deep breath. "I've been doing this shit for 2 years, Connor. I'm over it. I gotta get out." "What are you saying?" "Listen, man, my therapist says you're on bands, and if I want to get out of here, I've got to follow the Cultbrook standards. That means I can't keep talking to people on bands." "No, come on, Miles. Don't do this shit to me," I said, feeling a tightness in my chest. "Not you, too." "I'm sorry, man. I just gotta ride this out." He met my eyes for a second before returning back around and slouching once more in his chair. It hurt. A lot. There I was, staring at the back of the head that couldn't turn. Miles was one of the few people I could actually connect with at Cultbrook. It felt like a personal betrayal, and it only fueled my growing hatred for the school and broken system it represented. In the following weeks, Miles kept his distance, gravitating towards his therapist's clique of favor students. I started to notice that each of the prominent counselors had their own small group of kids that they were close to. Unsurprisingly, there were students who had the most privileges and freedom at Cultbrook. My curiosity got the better of me, so I started asking around trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. What I learned horrified me. A friend, who I won't name, told me that some of the counselors were having sexual relationships with the students. These kids are 13 to 18, or 17, 18 years old, by the way. They were giving them extra food, extended bedtimes, access to gaming councils, and even worse, therapists like Miles and a few others had told their students to be cruel and rebellious to kids like me, isolating us to push us away and into compliance. This discovery sent me into a new level of anger and defiance. I never had a better reason to be a menace, and for Grant Price, the founder of Cultbrook, my restraint was hanging on by a thread. Chapter 10, Animus. Roughly 6 months after the Amicitia workshop,